Hey there, it's so good to be back behind the mic. I don't know about you, Mark, but I've really missed our morning chats.
Oh man, me too. And what better way to kick off 2025 than getting back to what we love doing? I was just thinking on my way in this morning how special it is that we get to help people start their day.
That's exactly it. And to all our listeners, welcome to Blue Mountain Morning. I'm Alex, and for those just joining us after the holiday break, this wonderful voice next to me is Mark.
Yeah, still here, still caffeinated. There's something really exciting about this being our first episode of the new year. It's like a fresh start, you know?
Absolutely, and we're here just like always to help you find those moments of clarity and calm in all the day's noise. Think of us as your morning coffee buddies, just with better radio voices.
Speak for yourself. My morning voice is still warming up.
All right, let's dive into what's happening today, Monday, January 6th, and wow, Mother Nature's really making her presence known across the country.
Yeah, we're tracking this massive winter storm that's threatening millions of Americans with snow and ice. The latest reports show it's particularly intense in, bringing some seriously brutal cold temperatures.
I was just looking at those numbers, and they're pretty intense. The National Weather Service is warning about dangerous conditions across multiple states. Have you seen the ice accumulation predictions?
Oh yeah, and that's what's really concerning emergency officials. Even a quarter-inch of ice can bring down power lines and make roads absolutely treacherous.
And speaking of significant news, there are also some developments in the New Orleans situation. On New Year's Eve, a terror attack occurred there when a driver intentionally drove a truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street, killing 14 people and injuring dozens more before being shot by police. The FBI is now expanding their investigation, right?
That's right. They're now looking into potential associates both here in the U.S. and internationally. And this is interesting. Both the New Orleans Saints and the NFL have stepped up, pledging $1 million to help the victims.
I should mention that local authorities are really emphasizing the importance of cooperation from the community right now. They're asking anyone with information to come forward.
Yeah, and you know what's particularly noteworthy about this? The investigation's revealing some interesting patterns about how the suspect apparently fell into extremism after experiencing some personal difficulties.
We should probably mention that this is still an active investigation, so details are still emerging. But what's clear is that law enforcement is taking this incredibly seriously.
Absolutely, and they're being really thorough about it, which is exactly what you want to see in a situation like this.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Mark, when we look deeper into this winter storm situation, there's something really fascinating about how it's affecting different parts of the country so differently.
Yeah, and it's actually part of a bigger pattern we've been seeing. Like, these intense winter storms are becoming more frequent, especially in regions that historically didn't have to deal with this kind of weather.
I was just thinking about the emergency response systems in places like the Southeast, where they might not be as prepared for this kind of weather as, say, Minnesota or Maine.
Exactly, and that's actually a really important point. See, what might be a manageable snowfall in Buffalo could completely shut down a city like Atlanta. It's not just about the amount of snow, it's about infrastructure readiness.
Speaking of infrastructure, this is putting a huge strain on our power grids, isn't it?
Oh man, absolutely. The thing is, these storms are hitting multiple regions simultaneously, which means power companies can't easily shift resources around like they normally would. They can't just send crews from one state to another because everyone needs help at the same time.
And this connects to something bigger about our emergency preparedness as a nation, doesn't it?
It really does. We're seeing this need for a total rethink of how we handle these events. Communities that never needed serious winter weather plans are suddenly having to develop them. And you know what's interesting? Some cities are actually looking at climate data to update their emergency protocols.
Let's make this practical for our listeners. What should people be thinking about right now?
First thing, and I cannot stress this enough, is having an emergency kit ready. We're talking about at least 3 days of supplies, including non-perishable food, water, and medications. And don't forget to keep your devices charged whenever possible.
And maybe check on neighbors, especially elderly ones or those living alone.
Absolutely. That's actually one of the most important things people can do. And here's something people often forget. If you have to travel, keep an emergency kit in your car too. Even a short drive can turn into hours if you get stuck in these conditions.
You know what really gets me excited, Mark? Even in the toughest weather, there are these amazing stories of people just stepping up for each other.
Oh man, I was just reading about this neighborhood in Michigan where they've created this incredible system during snowstorms. They've got this whole network of volunteers who check on elderly residents.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. And it's not just Michigan, right?
No. Like, just last week in Vermont, this group of high school students organized this really cool shoveling brigade. They cleared driveways for people who couldn't do it themselves. And get this, they refused to take any money for it.
That's incredible. It really shows how these challenges bring out the best in communities.
And you know what's really interesting? These informal networks often work faster than official channels. Like, people are using social media and community apps to coordinate help before the plows even hit the streets.
I've noticed that too. But for our listeners who want to help out in their own communities, where should they start?
Well, first things first, know your neighbors. Like, actually know them. Get their phone numbers, maybe start a neighborhood group chat. And, if you're able-bodied, let people know you're available to help.
And I think it's worth mentioning that help can come in all forms, right? It's not just about shoveling snow.
Exactly. Sometimes it's as simple as picking up extra groceries or, sharing some hot coffee with the folks clearing your street, or even just calling to check in on someone who lives alone.
And don't forget about local shelters and food banks. They usually need extra help during extreme weather.
Oh yeah, and here is something really practical. If you've got a four-wheel drive vehicle, maybe let your neighbors know you're willing to help with emergency transportation. Just make sure you're comfortable driving in these conditions first. You know, Alex, there's something almost magical about these winter mornings, when everything's covered in snow and the world just feels still.
I know exactly what you mean. It's like nature's hitting the pause button for a moment.
Yeah, and there's this incredible moment right before sunrise when the snow reflects just the tiniest bit of light. Everything's blue and quiet and perfect.
It reminds me of those mornings when I was a kid, waking up early and being the first one to look out the window at fresh snow.
That's exactly it. In all our rushing around, we sometimes forget to just stop and notice these moments of pure peace.
Like when you can actually hear the snow falling.
And your breath makes those little clouds in the cold air. It's funny how the coldest season can somehow make us feel so warm inside.
I think maybe that's what we all need sometimes. Just a moment to pause like the world does under a blanket of snow and just breathe.
So maybe that's our whisper for today. Find your moment of winter stillness, even if it's just for a few seconds. Let everything else just melt away.
And that brings us to the end of our first Blue Mountain morning of 2025. Thank you all so much for joining us today and, honestly, for being part of this journey with us.
Yeah, it's really great to be back after the holiday break. And you know what? I already can't wait for tomorrow's show.
Oh my gosh, same here. We've got some really interesting stories lined up and, well, you'll just have to tune in to find out.
Always with the teasers, Alex. But seriously, everyone, thank you for starting your morning with us.
Right, so until tomorrow, this is Alex.
And Mark?
Wishing you a calm and centered rest of your day. See you bright and early.